My question is, how did your campaign experience change you as a person? How is Andrew at time two different than Andrew at time one? Has politics made you a better person, or is it corrupting?
Thanks for the question, Peter. I can very clearly see how politics ends up changing you in ways that make you more controlled and almost inhumanly monotonous. Because what happens is anytime you go off the rails and you say something that is off color or whatnot, like there's like a firestorm of criticism. And then everyone on your team is like, hey, don't do that again. And then if you're a politician, you're like, okay, I guess I shouldn't do that again, whatever that was. And then after you get burnt a couple times that way, then your behavior starts becoming more confined. And then when someone sticks a camera in your face or a microphone, then you go to your handful of talking points, and that's it. And so you become something of a robot. So that's the nature of politics generally. And a lot of it is because you're employing professionals who are around you. And a lot of the time their edict is to do no harm. And it's do no harm because you're running a campaign that has, millions of dollars and blah, blah, blah. But also because it's their job as professionals and they want to go on to another job after you. Like they don't want to be responsible for the candidate who did that thing that everyone recognizes as negative. So I was in a different spot, Peter, because if I allowed the guardrails to close in, then I was going to be completely ignored and be a total dud and nothing would matter. So for me, I was leaning into my humanity. Like I would do things that I think, frankly, like other presidential candidates wouldn't, because they were, quote unquote, more serious than I was. And so I could push the envelope. If I wasn't pushing the envelope, no one here would have heard of Andrew Yang ever. And we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I had no, and the great thing for me was what are my stakes? I didn't have a political downside to protect. I was just trying to eradicate poverty and advance a vision for the country. So I'm happy to say that I believe I actually became a better person through the process, because you're leading a campaign or a movement of hundreds of thousands of Americans, and it's so touching. And then you go to New Hampshire, Iowa, and you talk to people who lost their health care, lost their relatives to drug addiction, came back from the war, and have been struggling ever since. It's heartbreaking. You just get exposed to so much humanity on both sides, the love and idealism of the people that are supporting you, and then the pain and suffering of people that are trying to search for a better path. And I got stretched in really profound ways. I mean, I missed my family terribly. And I have two young kids, and I was on the road for the better part of 2 years. And when you're in the Best Western in the winter in Iowa or Michigan, and you're looking around, you're FaceTiming your wife who's handling your kids and is busy with them. You look up and it's really difficult a lot of the time. So the fact that this campaign, I feel actually paid dividends for our country, is something I'm incredibly grateful for, incredibly proud of. The fact that I used to joke that I have two goals, one, abolish poverty, and two, stay married. And I'm happy to say I accomplished the second goal, and it looks like the first goal might be on its way. But I can very, very easily see how politics will not make you a better person. It will confine your behaviors. It will expose you to institutional incentives. It exposes you to a professional class that just wants to be able to be there for candidate after candidate. And it also makes you a bit of a mercenary because you have to dial for dollars all the time. And this is another thing I was very grateful for, is that I never really had to dial for dollars. because I had hundreds of thousands of Americans who just like invested 10, 20, $25 in my campaign. And I was so grateful for that because I hate calling people for money. It is dehumanizing. It's miserable. Even if they say yes, they make you do this entire kabuki song and dance, and you have to keep a smile on your face the entire time. Like, you know, I know Tom agrees with this. If we can actually institute campaign finance reform, it would make our leaders better people, because then they wouldn't have to do that, like, you know, that mercenary kabuki, like where you like prostrate yourself. It's one reason why our government has been a servant to the giant companies, is because you literally have a leadership class that is just accustomed to just like, you know, sticking their hands up and being like, please give me the dribs and drabs of your vast wealth. And guess what? I'm not going to change a damn thing. You know, like that's really what has gone on. So like, I'm just so grateful for the fact that I got to keep my integrity. And it was because I had support, but it was also because, frankly, like I didn't care about the outcome in that way. It's like, you know, like I didn't care about my political future, and that enabled me to do things, I think, in a different way.
Super. Thanks so much for your question, Peter.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.